Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Serenity Gaming for Valhalla Avengers, taking on DVN Protecting Guardians. For the side of Protecting Guardians, from top down to support, we've got Netflix and Chill in the top lane, Denmark in the jungle, and we have Rotten Esfar in the mid lane, Elman in ADC, and in the support role, Really Sad Kid. For the side of Valhalla Avengers, we have TSE Stealth in the top lane, Guffy DK in the jungle, and actually everyone's switching around in the lobby, so I can't work it out anymore. Joining alongside me for the cast, we have Nightstar. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing very well. It's been a very long time since I've been able to get in on action over in Serenity Gaming, so I'm very happy to be back. And we've got a little bit of I guess team kill action with both of these DVN squads. I love the org name, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool, and also very interesting in the name choices as well, because we have Valhalla Avengers versus Protecting Guardians, a little bit of a sword and shield action, I kind of want to say. But yeah,
as you mentioned, the DVN derby, we could call it, but you know, Avengers Protecting Guardians, you know, who are the bad guys here? We're going to be nice and impartial, I'm sure. Unless someone picks a really spicy pick, because then as soon as a spicy pick comes in, I'm just instantly over to one side and just completely favorited to one of the teams. However, we should be getting underway with picks and bans soon. Something I did want to talk to you about, Nightstar, before we get underway. We're in patch 9.20. What can we really expect to see? What are those somewhat off-meta picks that might be breaking through? What are you excited to see come?
So patch 920, I mean, the world's patch is the 919, so there are going to be some picks that we could possibly see on this 920 patch that aren't going to be seen too much on the 919 patch. Garen did get a little bit of a change on this patch. I don't think it really changes his play rate as much. Maybe we see him a little more in the top lane, as the true damage is very helpful, but he still comes into some of the same problems he faces as a champion, in that he still struggles against some of the range matchups. So he really enjoys the Garen Yumi combination and being able to just run you down with the move speed and the extra lockdown and whatnot. Lissandra got a nice buff here. I think she was always viable. People just didn't really play her because she's not a very fun champion, you know. She's very anti-fun because she goes Aftershock, and really, if you're playing Aftershock mid, you don't.
What are you doing?
Yeah, either you don't really play mid and you're looking for, you know, something very basic for you to pick up, you know, your Annies of the world, your Lissandras of the world, or you don't want to have the other team to have fun. That's really the core of when you pick Lissandra. I mean, we are in Champ Select, but the big one I want to target is the Shaco. The support Shaco is
support
absurd.
Shaco.
Absurd.
Okay.
Support Shaco, AP support Shaco. You might see him AP top lane or a hybrid in the jungle, but support Shaco is actually cancerous, and I am so giga tilted because I've played it, I've carried so hard, and I hate the champion.
Okay, well, getting tilted about carrying your own team hard, that's something I haven't really heard before. You mentioned the anti-fun Lissandra. Well, potentially even more of the anti-fun Morgana has been banned away from the side of Protecting Guardians, as the Jinx banned away from the side of Avengers. Very standard ban so far, and one of the things that, you know, we have been seeing when we think back to, you know, the Worlds patch, which is what's being played on currently at Worlds, is that Kale pick, because it's, you know, everyone was talking about, oh, Fiora's going to be so strong, Fiora's going to be so strong. You head into Worlds, 100% ban rate on Pantheon, and Kale has been picked up in so many games.
Yeah, and the Kale pick really stems from the 917 changes where she is able to get access to that range form a lot earlier at level 6. That just makes such a large difference because it just means that you can actually team fight a lot earlier or, just interact with the map in general. Whereas before, when you saw the previous Kale iteration, having hit 11 to get access to range form permanently and 16 to really ramp up. It just was too much of a ramp up time that your team would just lose too much on the map to actually get to that breakpoint where you were losing.
Now, we talked about the Garen. The Garen has been locked in, and of course, that can get flexed around like nobody's business. Of course, it could be coming through in the top lane, but it could also be in the mid lane, and who knows? If Yuumi gets picked up, it could be a Garen Yuumi, or it could just be a Yuumi supporting, Garen wherever. We talked briefly about some of the changes with that Garen. One of the notable things that we do see a difference in terms of the build, though, is that we see that Phantom Dancer coming in just to give some of that crit for the E.
Yeah, and it's not just only the crit that you get onto the E, it's also the attack speed, where it's not the greatest scaling on your E for the attack speed, but it does add that extra little bit of damage. And in addition, with the Triforce, you're getting quite a bit of attack speed, where it is a notable amount onto your E. And we see the Darius and the Jarvan locked in for the side of the Protecting Guardians.
Yep.
So it's very interesting whenever you see a double AD physical damage pick in the top and jungle, because it makes it very easy for a top laner to then itemize against. So I typically am against it, but it does bring a very aggressive flair to that early draft.
Seeing the Janna and Caitlyn getting locked in here for the Avengers. I've been seeing a bit of Janna coming through into the meta, into some games, as we get a Draven, ladies and gentlemen, protecting Guardians with the Noxian brothers, the Darius and the Draven, getting picked in. And I'm really interested to see what Krista is going to be playing to pair up with that Draven here.
You're interested in what they pick for the support. I'm more interested in what does Radar Safar actually take in the mid lane to complement all of these champions, because you have very much go champions. Draven wants to go in, Darius wants to try and get in. We'll see if he's able to. There's some, there's still inherent issues with Draven or Darius's kit in being able to actually get into the backline without something like a ghost. We'll see how that interaction will work out. But just to pair with that, he wants something with either a lot of CC or a lot of magic damage. The Lissandra, I think, would be a perfect way to complement this team comp, because you lock down for the Draven, but you also lock down for the Darius, enabling the Darius to actually get into the fights. And it just makes it incredibly easy for this composition to snowball if they lock in a Lissandra.
Mentioned the Lissandra. I personally want to see the chicken coop, and what I mean by that is the Galio, because J4 sets up the Cataclysm and the chicken dives right in, and you get a big smash, and it fills in the checklist that you mentioned. Have that AP, have some CC. I think another thing that we could probably mention is the Echo. Very strong pick right now, and can go in the jungle and mid lane, of course, with the Jarvan locked in, as we're going to get the Nami. And right, if anyone doesn't play bot lane, Nami Draven is disgusting. In my opinion, is probably Draven's second best partner after the Morgana.
Yeah, the Nami Draven really enables the Draven to just go for trades against Caitlyn, because he gets that extra little move speed from the Nami passive and also from his own W. So he's really able to gap close against the Caitlyn, which, let's be honest here, it's always hard to gap close against a Caitlyn, especially a Caitlyn Janna lane. So any sort of move speed is going to help. But at the same time, you're playing Draven into Caitlyn Janna. It's not generally a fun time.
And with the Malphite Zoe now getting locked in for the side of Avengers, I'm noticing a lot of burst damage. That's going to be a Malphite jungle. The TF to come through in the mid lane. So you look over to the side of protecting Guardians, and it's just so much damage. Damage from everywhere. And then when you look over to the side of Avengers, it's even more damage, but it's much more instantaneous, much more, snap, we're in, here's our damage.
Yeah, and thematically, you're looking at a little bit of a role reversal, I would say. The Protecting Guardians have a hyper aggro composition with the Draven, Jarvan, Darius. Twisted Fate is kind of there to complement, just a little try and assist some of these side lanes, maybe get the Draven that kill early on, or get the Darius snowballing. Whereas over on the side of the Avengers, you've got a little bit more of a wait and see composition with the Malphite wanting to, respond with that ultimate. The Zoe wants people to walk into some of these sleepy trouble bubbles, and it's a very response heavy composition, whereas the Protecting Guardians are very much the Avengers, I feel like, in this game.
Right, well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and what I always like to start off with, junglers. Where are we going to be seeing Colorblind? Where are we seeing Denmark focusing their early games?
Well, because DJ Colorblind is on the Malphite, we're going to be looking at more of a farm-heavy style of jungle. He's going to be pathing to try and take as many camps as possible, hit that level 6 early on, because that's when Malphite really comes online, right? Because he has that unstoppable force. Whereas the Jarvan is going to be able to get those early ganks in. You're looking at level 2, level 3. Those possibilities are definitely there. And I would like to see the Jarvan go mid. Because you're looking at the bot lane. If Nami lands the bubble, that's great. But you're up against Caitlyn Janna. Very anti-fun lane. Will have experienced it myself many a times. Will say it's not fun. You looking at that mid lane, Twisted Fate into Zoe. You have a gold card. Zoe has no escapes. That's just free bag of gold mid.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of surprised because something that I do see a lot of Zoe players, and actually more generically, a lot of mid laners on these kind of bursty champions like, for example, a Xerath, especially when you go against a Jarvan or a Sejuani, is that they pick up this cleanse. And I would have expected it for a champion like Zoe, just because you have that W that enables you to pick up whatever spells happen to pop up. So I would have thought that could have been a spell decision that Stealth could have gone for.
Yeah, and I really would have liked to see the cleanse, especially into TF lanes, because he has consistent CC, and any sort of CC reduction you can get is definitely appreciated in that lane. And it kind of goes for in the same way as you would treat a Lissandra, where Lissandra just has such easy guaranteed CC that you do end up taking cleanse in more times than not. However, Zoe does have the option of going the Unsealed Spellbook, so that could be an option Stealth goes for in this game, but we'll have to see when we actually get into the loading screen.
We talked about this earlier, Netflix and chill on that Darius. He has gone for the Ghost, and what it means is that we have one TP for both sides on Really Sad Kid in the top lane and on Rotten Esfa on the TF, just because the Destiny wasn't enough for rotations. Talk us through this Darius Ghost pick again.
So the Darius Ghost is just really imperative for the Darius to actually be useful in the fights, where especially against Caitlyn Janna, you need every which way to get in as possible. Without the Ghost, that means that, you have a 5-minute flash that you can use, and 5 minutes later you're going to be waiting, but with the Ghost you have a lot of possibilities. You can gank assist with this spell in the top lane. Um, and it's just really imperative for Darius to have the ghost, because in his kit he doesn't have any gap closers. If he misses the apprehend, then it's gank over.
Yeah. Something else I'd want to bring up is when we look towards the bot side of the map. You mentioned how this Caitlyn Jan is kind of anti-fun because, of course, Caitlyn's really strong early with those headshots. But then, again, Draven's also really strong early, but he does fall off. Caitlyn falls off as well, but when you get to that late game, when Caitlyn has the 100% crit, she still hits like a truck and is a bit more effective than Darius, than Draven. How do we see this bot lane going? What are the key points to be looking for?
Well, whenever you're looking at a Draven lane, you're looking at how does he cash in, and
Yes.
it really involves bringing a lot of members. In my how I see it, you're either bringing in Jarvan at level 2 or level 3 very early on to try and make the gank happen, or you're waiting for Destiny Gate to become available for the Twisted Fate, and just manning that bot lane. It really comes through absolute brute force in that bot lane, to force things to get that Draven ahead. If he's able to, even, see, the tough part is even if he gets ahead here, finds himself 1 or 2 kills, I feel like he really needs 4 or maybe 5 to actually have the impact in team fights, because you're up against a Malphite, you're a low range champion into a Malphite Zoe, mind you, and you're playing against Janna too. So if you want to charge into the backline, that's an issue, and if you want to hit frontline, you're hitting a Malphite.
Few more things I want to bring up before we really get well within this game. Really sad kid going for the triple rejuve speeds, which we do see time and time. However, Rotten Esfar going for the Kleptomancy on the Twisted Fate, and also Zoe going for this Electrocute, going more into, you know, what we were talking about, this straight up burst damage from the side of the Avengers.
Yeah, and I do like the Electrocute onto the Zoe because it adds that burst potential here. However, I just didn't really like the Summoner choice to begin with. Having to sit on the Ignite, it leaves them quite vulnerable to early gank plays here. They have decent vision coverage of that Raptor camp, so they're...
Oh, what was that? Stealth coming in super stealthy and spots out Denmark on his Raptors. That was beautiful.
Yeah, he had mid lane priority there. He had the freedom to make that move, and really,
and
the Twisted Fate wasn't able to help.
And that way, ladies and gentlemen, is why you put that ward at the enemy Raptors. Because you get to spot them on low health and you get to do cool stuff like that. However, in the top lane, out comes the Decimate. Really sad kid spinning to win. Flashes away. Apprehend. Can't quite find its mark, but Netflix and Shell will be fairly happy with that trade.
Yeah, that's going to be quite the win there, being able to burn the flash, especially in any Darius lane. You want, of course, I've mentioned it, that gap closing is an issue, but when they don't have flash, you know, it makes your job a lot easier.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Eleman not taking any damage. However, here comes Colorblind in the top lane. Out comes a Seismic Shard. Flash away from Netflix and Chill, who burns the Ghost as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Stealth getting fairly low, as Denmark looking to get a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, and now that the Zoe has burned the flash, Stealth has to play incredibly safe here, and even without a lot of mana as well, he might be wanting to look for that recall very soon. I personally would recommend that he goes for the recall right now, just because Twisted Fate doesn't necessarily push the wave in that quickly early on without a lot more levels into those wild cards. So that definitely could push in here and get a reset.
Also, with Rotten as far on this Klepto, he can still go AD or APTF. However, you'd have to expect an APTF considering how much AD is already on the side of the Protecting Guardians.
Yeah, you'd hope that he goes for the AP build. Of course, there is the Triforce into the Rapid Fire Cannon AD build. That will give a lot of mid-game spike once he's completed those two items.
Oh,
because-
Denmark looking for the gank. Flag and drag comes in, flash away from Bellemisen. No kill in the bot lane. Krista flashing forward, trying to land that Aqua Prison, but won't be able to do so as Denmark being fairly proactive on this Jarvan after incident, let's say, at level 2.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but he was able to burn summoners, and he's been very active since that play, and I do very much appreciate that play, being able to quickly adapt, and also just knowing that the Malphite's not going to challenge him.
Stealth misses the trouble bubble, otherwise could have potentially looked for a kill onto Rotten Esfar. Not going to be able to do so. In the bot lane, Element just taking no damage at all because of that Nami. Has full stacks now on the Garen, and the Decimate will seal the deal. Meanwhile, the old Stealth, can he actually get out of this? He's got the Ignite ticking, will not find the kill, and the Triumph is going to be big, but the Seismic Shard finds the return kill as there's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. And now Denmark, he drops down to Demacian Standard, has the Dragon Strike, but will not commit as Aqua Prison in the bot lane will land onto Bolemizen. And stepping onto a track, Krista has to be very careful. A lot of damage coming out. The Tornado will knock up the Draven, but Draven running it down. Can he find the damage? Picking up the axes, but he is so low. Build up a Peacemaker, potentially could turn it around. But Element not within range. And now we're seeing Netflix and Chill in the top lane, just proxy farming, telling Garen to get the hell away from his turret.
Yeah, unfortunately though, Netflix and Chill, he is going to have to burn that.
The Apprehend comes in. He's being very aggressive. He does have the Noxian Guillotine, as you just mentioned, and he already takes really sad kid down to half HP and will now back himself.
Yeah, and that top lane is just going quite south for a really sad kid.
But this is actually something I find quite interesting because I think I was listening to... I think it was Jat who was mentioning this yesterday on the world stage, but he was talking about how different champions are when they have high income / low income, medium income. And he was talking about the differences on that and like why, for example, Sona Taric works, why Garen Yumi works. And one of the things he was mentioning is Garen is really good with medium incomes and can do well with a few items. Darius is strong early game, but once Garen gets a couple of those items in, he should maybe start to get back into this game a little bit.
Right, and once he gets to his items, he'll be all right. However, because Darius is getting a lot of that early income because he has that CS advantage and also just the kill advantage as well, he's going to be in such an accelerated area, and given the fact that he's much more early game oriented, the value he gets
here
out
comes
of his
Malphite in the bot lane. The Predator has been popped. Oh, the unstoppable force will find the damage, and Guffy will pick up the kill onto Krissa. While Jarvan looking in the mid lane, Stealth has his flashback available with the bot lane rotating up, and this might actually end up quite badly for the Protecting Guardians. Here we go, Seismic Shard's going to find his mark. The flag and drag to safety from Denmark. A Sleepy Trouble Bubble will find his mark. Going to be out of range of the Paddle Star.
Yeah, a nice little rotation coming out from the side of the Avengers there. Just because they were able to get that bot lane rotation in, they were able to go for that play. Burn, not really get anything off of it, but they are able to get a little bit more positioning here. And if you look at the bot side river control, they do have very good river control. And I mean, that said, you know, the Protecting Guardians, they do have quite a protecting line of vision for this massive Darius top.
Speaking of the Darius top here, comes Colorblind. Does not have that
1v2
unstoppable
this.
force available, but can Netflix and Chill 1v2? No, he can't, because the Demacian Justice will pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Stealthy lands a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. A lot of damage. The exhaust coming out as well. But he just will not be able to follow up, and the Ignite ticks down so low. Out comes the Tsunami in the bot lane. They find the knockup onto Bolomizan. The Guffy falls so quickly. Flash out of the Cataclysm, but look at the axes. Flash comes in a little bit late from Element, but he's already got the kill. 2 kills in the bot lane for the kill in the top. And now attention will be turned over to the Mountain Drake.
And this Mountain Drake is going to be huge for the side of the Guardians here, because they're looking to try and accelerate the game.
Oh,
and
TP coming in. Sleepy Trouble Bubble's going to be able to find his mark. Here comes the Battlestar. It gets tanked by Denmark, but that is the Judgment Strike coming in. Judgment to follow, and Denmark will turn away the flash forward. Stealth not able to land the Battlestar, but the Smite will land, and it slows Krista to his doom. Unstoppable Force will find the Twisted Fate. Decisive Strike will prevent Rotten Esfar from escaping, and that will be Colorblind taking the kill, as this is a great turn from the Avengers, and with Rotten Esfar down, they should be able to pick up the Mountain Drake themselves.
And a very good call coming out from the side of the Avengers, knowing that there were a couple of cooldowns burned into that bot lane engage. They didn't have the Tidal Wave, they didn't have the Cataclysm. So bringing down your Garen in that case wasn't a bad move. Because if we imagine a scenario where he does have the Cataclysm, then your Garen without your ultimate isn't going to be very impactful in that scenario. However, Destiny.
Oh, here
now
comes
pops!
Destiny. Can they find? No, he comes in
card.
with a blue card, not with the gold card. However, the damage is still following through. Guffy gets hit and will get CC'd by the YOLO Snap Trap. The flash forward with the card. Rotten Esfar surely will pick up the kill, and yes, he will. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Flag and Drag coming in. Bolomizan is a low. Cataclysm will be up in just a couple of seconds, and it will pick up the kill. There's a gold card landing onto the Zoe Unstoppable Force in the bot lane. Element can do nothing about it. He'll heal. He'll try to kite. Actually getting to it. He somehow does it. Are you kidding me? The Draven outplay is real.
Yeah, we'll just say we weren't just only colorblind, we were completely blind there.
However, in the top lane, out comes the Decimate. Noxie Guillotine is not enough. Maybe the bleed can find enough damage. Really sad kid will, just about survive. Oh, the flash Decimate. Really sad kid was standing on a ward, and now he is really sad.
Yeah, that's a tragic ending to that story here. And now, Netflix and Chill, he gets that first tower and all the plates. So he is giga accelerated in that top lane. Unfortunately, the mid lane's not going very well, but the bot lane is. So they've got two lanes that are really far ahead, and one that it's not really far behind, but it's not in a great spot. But when you have 3 other Fed champions, I think you'll take that.
Yeah. 4k gold advantage for the protecting Guardians. When we look over to the gold distribution, well, it's a 1k gold lead for Element in the bottom lane. But look at the top lane. Almost 2k in the purse for Netflix and Chill, who is now down in the bot lane. He got the first turret in the top lane, and now he wants maybe a few more turret plates, but he's going to roam back up potentially to the mid lane and wait for an opportune moment to strike.
Yeah, and now we've hit a little bit of a slower point here. We can try to take stock of the game state. And one of the things I do want to bring out is the fact that if you do look over onto the protecting Guardians,
Aqua Prison's gonna land, but here's the Unstoppable Force, and that is a dead fishy.
Yeah, that was the ultimate Janabait. Classic Janabait, where you have 2 tools of disengage. You're not really worried about people jumping onto you.
Right, Denmark is here. and could be looking to turn this around. Out come the axes. The Cataclysm will find two. Tornado will get the knock up onto Draven. Out comes the whirling death, and it's going to be the double kill coming in as Colorblind and Guffy will fall, and that is the power of the Draven Destiny in as well for the Twisted Fate. Great rotation from the Protecting Guardian, and now they will pick up their second outer turret of the game.
And that was just the side of the Avengers just thirsting a little bit too much onto that play, really wanting to get that kill onto Element. But, you know, you've already used that very large cooldown of the Unstoppable Force. There was really no way to force that play to happen. I mean, at this point, I just want to let the people at home also know that, you know,
Judgment
this is
coming in.
a Runic Echo.
However, Max stacks on really sad kill. He'll find the Noxian Guillotine on one paddle star, misses his mark. Noxian Guillotine onto Bolamizen, and he picks up the double kill, but he's still going. He wants more. He's found Colorblind. Oh, the Decimate can't quite find his mark. Paddle star won't be able to hit. Neither can the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but more Sparkle's passive will seal the deal. Stealth picks up the shutdown.
Yeah, just you know,
A little bit aggressive, right? Just a tiny bit.
he was a little bit deep, I would say, in enemy territory there. Definitely strong enough to make that play, but
Paddlestar finds so much damage. They get the Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto the Nami. However, Rotten Esfar trying to turn this around. Stealth just looking to find the Poe. However, Element can just heal back up with the Bloodthirster. The Rift Herald has been secured by Denmark. And has the Eye of the Herald. Guffy looking just to find some poke over the river wall, but it's not quite going to be enough. And the Protecting Guardians do what they need to do, picking up that very important Shelly, and that can get dropped at any point now in the mid lane for that final outer turret.
yeah, and you know, we've got one of the things here. So we have 380 champions who are really fed, right? Over on the side of the Guardians. And interestingly enough,
Apprehend almost pulls the Janna over the wall. The ult will come through. Is it enough? Here we go, flag and drag in. The focus is on the Zoe. Cataclysm comes in, ult away, but what goes out must come back in. And Colorblind actually will find a kill onto Chris. It's a 1-for-1 as the Noxian Guillotine finds a second. He finds a triple kill. It's the quadra kill. Netflix and chill is absolutely huge right now.
you can say he has no chill. I would put it as far as that. But they're gonna get this mid tower here. They have the Rift Herald thrown down. They're gonna get 2 towers in the mid lane. That's great.
And as you were mentioning, Knight, like you said how there are 3 AD champions, there are 4 damage champions from Protecting Guardians. They've got an Infernal Drake on top of that. We've got another Infernal Drake in 4 minutes. This is looking really, really good for them.
Yeah, they're at a point where they're able to really snowball this lead. But the big thing is, you're looking at that lineup and you're thinking, okay, your boots options should be either Ninja Tabby to withstand the onslaught from Netflix and chill, Denmark, Element, or you should be going some Merc Treads to survive the stun length of these TF gold cards, because this TF isn't really doing a lot of damage, but he is providing a lot of CC as long as he remembers to lock in the gold card. I will put that caveat because we haven't seen, I would say, too many Destiny gold cards here. But
oh no, really sad kid might just be getting sad if the Apprehend comes in. There's nowhere for him to go, and Rotten as far steals the kill away. Says Netflix, you've got enough kill. Give one over to your good old buddy, old pal, mid laner.
Yeah, and that's a very good gold allocation, I would say here. Ooh, he's in a
The tidal
bad
wave comes in.
spot.
Rotten Espar takes a little bit of damage. Will get healed up by the M and Flow, as that's going to be the Cataclysm in. The Janet ult will knock him out. Unstoppable Force finds the kill. The smite onto Krista, but Element dishing out the damage. Oh, he's found the Zoe as well. Sleepy Trouble Bubble misses his mark. Element, one more auto, will secure the deal. And Kristen and Denmark will survive, as it is a 3 kills for 1. Element once more. He's got the Bloodthirster for more damage. Won't get hit by the Piltover Peacemaker. Really sad kid has joined the fight, so that is going to have to be Protecting Guardians backing out. They know not to overstay their welcome.
And I just want to point out, we're 20 minutes into the game and we've got 31 kills. This is
Not
what,
even 20 minutes in. Now we're 20 minutes in.
yeah.
But,
This is what I signed up for. This is definitely what I signed up for, and this is the game plan that should be executed by the Protecting Guardians, right? Because they have a hyper aggro composition that needs to get snowballing early. And
oh no,
thus,
Guffy, this is not looking nice for you. The Apparat coming in. Oh my god! Look at the damage! The Flash, Noxian Guillotine finds one kill. And you have to think really sad kid will follow. Double kill for Netflix and Chill. 10 and 2 on the Darius. As you said, Nightstar, this guy has no chill at all.
yeah, and he has the Triforce, and he even went second item, Dead Man's Plate,
Oh, he gets
just to
healed.
get that extra move speed. And okay, all right,
Flash away
is
from the
burnt.
tidal wave. Yeah. That's how scared they are of, 1/3 HP Netflix and Chill. Wow.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that this is a Darius without any summons.
Oh, the Unstoppable Force takes down Netflix and Chill. You may have armor, but you have no magic. This is a great Aqua Prison. Will keep Krista going. However, look at the Baron. It's a great distraction from Protecting Guardians. They'll take Baron, and it will be on 4 members. 21 minutes in, Protecting Guardians might just be looking for the final play now.
Yeah, and it really comes down to there was really not much option there for the side of the Avengers here. Because even if you want to try and make a play up in the top side to try and contest vision, you don't have any vision set up already. So it really just came down to try and
Sleepy Trouble
relieve
Bubble
side
finds his
pressure.
mark. A paddle side will find a little bit. Whirling Death will come through. Flag and Drag coming in. But he knocks the Jarvan into the backline. Damark with the Cataclysm finds so much. Redemption will come through. It's enough to find one kill. Really sad. Kid will find another. But Element just throwing out the axes. And it's going to be 3 kills for 2. However, that is Baron only on 2 members of Protecting Guardians now. The Draven and the Nami, and the Protecting Guardians will look to push through in the mid lane. They weren't able to get the Infernal Drake, otherwise that would have definitely have been worth it for them.
But really, they were still able to get so many kills, and with this Baron buff, that's going to relieve a lot of the potential threat against this counter siege.
Yep.
They can really just let the Baron minions do the work for them. And we did see the Draven low health there, but with his items, he lifesteals it all back very, very quickly. And the really only unfortunate part is that Netflix and Chill, he wasn't able to get the Baron buff because he died in the bot lane to set up that Baron play. But that's really the only tragic thing.
Oh, here we go. So much damage. Element flashing away, dishing out the damage, but he gets drowsied, and he will get taken down with the paddle star. However, Netflix and Chill, here's the other carry. Protecting Guardians is not all about our Draven, and they're going to try to chase down the Avengers, but Protecting Guardians no longer have a Baron buff. Look at the damage onto Netflix and Chill. Tries to turn it down. The Demacian Judgment will pick up the kill. However, Damark is here to turn this around. This game has suddenly got close. Really sad kid. Can he do anything? He'll blast Cone to safety. However, Rotten Esper trying to follow up. He finds a slow. Decisive strike is not enough. And it's the ace for the Protecting Guardians.
And that was such a close call from the TF. He doesn't lock in the gold card, and let's just say he really tested fate on that one. And really it comes down to you chased for those last 2 kills, and because of that, the rest of the vendors were able to respawn in time to defend their base. So I gotta say, it's a win for the Avengers here, and now they have the opportunity to just try and go for a catch pick with DJ Colorblind's Unstoppable Force back up available again. And really it comes down to Colorblind trying to trade at least 1-for-1 every single fight, preferably 1-for-2, but when he dumps that damage, they don't really have much magic resist for him, so he's getting maximum impact ultimates, because really the only magic resistance is coming out from these merc trends.
And this is something I wanted to bring up, Nightstar, because you were talking about, boot choices for everyone. When you look over to the side of the Protecting Guardians, none of them have picked up aggressive boots. They're all Merc Treads or the Ninja Tabby, with the exception of Krissa, who's a support, so they always go Moby boots anyway. But when you look over to the side of the Avengers, there's more damage boots coming through, kind of sticking with a more traditional build. And the other thing I want to bring up as well is we're getting to that stage where it's starting to feel like maybe this Caitlyn's coming online, maybe Stealth is coming online, and it's getting more and more difficult for Protecting Guardians. They haven't been able to crack open the base yet, and as you mentioned in that last fight, it was a bit of a win for the Avengers. Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds his mark. And that's going to be the Protecting Guardians being forced back. The Apprehend's going to be able to pull in. Really sad kid. Out comes the Aqua Prison. Oh, the flash away. Oh, the Unstoppable Force doesn't find anyone. As that's going to be the Redemption coming in. Flag and drag in behind. And that's going to be the triple kill for Element. As it's 4 kills for nothing. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds us. Look at the damage with the axes. One more will do it. And the red buff burn will secure the kill. It's an ace for Protecting Guardians. And just as I said that maybe they can't break the base open, they find a great turn, a great fight. They will destroy the base, and they will take game 1 against the Avengers.
And the Protecting Guardians showing that the shield truly beats the sword, especially when the shield has a very large javelin coming straight through it. That was the trick.
Especially when the shield doesn't play like a shield, but plays like the sword.
Exactly. When it's a very sharp-edged shield. This shield hurt.
It confirms the age-old saying, the best defense is a good offense. And they had a really good offense. So well played by the side of Protecting Guardians. Quickly, though, before we head into a break, Nightstar, what would you like to see the Avengers do differently in Game 2?
I mean, I don't really disagree with the Avengers composition necessarily. I think the Janna Caitlyn was a very good duo lane. It really just came down, I felt like, to some of the map management early on, and also, you can itemize a little bit better to be able to face that mid game a lot more effectively, because they allowed all the AD champions to snowball, but then they didn't really build any resistances to defend themselves from that potential, and they just weren't able to stay alive long enough to find those picks.
Alright then, well, we're going to head into a short break, but guys, don't go anywhere, or more specifically, go and replenish some snacks, but we're going to be right back for Game 2 between the Avengers and the Protecting Guardians. See you in just a short bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Valhalla's Avengers taking on Protecting Guardians. Well, the Guardians seem to be better than the Avengers at the moment, but Nightstar, anything can change in a best of 3. We talked about some things that we'd like to see Avengers do differently, but one of the things that has really stood out to me was when we looked at their draft, because I wasn't a massive fan of the draft that they picked, and I just felt like the champions just didn't really synergize well enough with each other.
Yeah, the picks themselves, if you looked at them in isolation, they were alright. The issue was you picked the Malphite, right? You pick a champion that's insanely good into a very AD heavy composition, and then you shift him into an AP role, which if he doesn't find the one shot, he is incredibly ineffective, as we saw several times with some of those ultimates coming in. The unstoppable force was did not find its mark in a few of those scenarios, and that really bit them in several fights, and also just using them on isolated targets and ended up not being able to use them for future fights. Really, it came down to some of the Malphite ult usage. The Zoe didn't get much value, even after that initial first blood very early on, just unable to really snowball it through. And it was just, in those scenarios, you're looking at where does the engage come from? And really, it just came from the Malphite. Without the Malphite ultimate, they had no way of starting fights. They had to wait for them to come in. And sure, you might want to play like that because you have a Janna Caitlyn. Unfortunately, that made the Zoe incredibly ineffective.
Yeah, and going back to those fights, you know, every time the Avengers started a fight and they would find those picks, which is what we mentioned in the drafting phase, they'd come out on top, they'd win. But as soon as they lost that big engage with the Unstoppable Force, all of a sudden the fights just got turned around, and the longer those fights went, the better it went for the Protecting Guardians.
Yeah, and the Guardians really were able to... there wasn't really anything stopping the Guardians, right?
Yeah.
Where there was a Janna pick, and ideally you would have Caitlyn traps, but the Caitlyn never got her traps really set up there. And there was just too much. They were so far ahead that the Janna pick couldn't stem the bleeding enough for the side of the Avengers. And which is an interesting talking point because, you know, the Avengers, the lineup does include, you know, someone from the Guardians. So maybe the Guardian sidecast is just better than the Avengers sidecast.
As we are seeing that Darius and the Jarvan being banned away. No surprises there, I don't think. The Garen is still open, but what will Netflix and Chill pick up? I'd like to see something that's nice and broken in the top lane, maybe along the lines of the Kled, but it's going to be the Draven. That's potentially going to be the first lock-in, and it will get picked up. The Nami's still open as well to pair with it. And I'm quite interested to see how the Avengers want to answer this time. Now, Lulu was banned in Game 1. It is open, and it will be picked up. And I'm not quite sure whether this Lulu, if it's meant to pair with a Twitch, or if Bolamizan is just very good at Lulu.
Yeah, it's a Lulu Volibear. Interestingly enough, the Volibear does get locked in. I'm curious to see if it ends up being in maybe a support role or the jungle role, because Lulu does have still the potential to be flexed around a little bit.
Yeah. Seeing the funnel strat coming through. I would like to see a Volibear support. I'm gonna stick with my guns and expect that to be top or jungle. As the Sejuani gets locked in for damn, like, yes! That's what we want to see. Take those rubbishy enchanter supports and get a big bloke with a massive dredge line just to whack them very hard and murder them. Good. Yeah,
Good.
I like this, yes. I'm running a dangerous line because our producer definitely plays Lulu, and yeah. I just hate Enchanter support. So anytime an Enchanter support gets picked up, I'm very excited to see the prospect of them getting absolutely murdered. Well,
I am a fan of Enchanter supports, depending on the Janter support. But I think there's a very good role for them here.
Yes.
And however, the Nautilus, paired up with the Draven makes a lot of sense, right? Because you want to try and be hyper aggro in that Draven lane, and if you draft this Nautilus for that support role, that definitely enables that.
But one thing that I'm really liking a lot more from the Protecting Guardians, as we are going to have to remake the lobby, it seems, is look at the draft so far. Last game, we were like, oh wow, look at how much damage they've got. Every single member of Protecting Guardians just wants to murder you. This time, you've got a Sejuani, you've got a Nautilus, you've got a lot more protection, a lot more Protecting Guardians, if you will, around this Draven, just to keep him going in these fights.
That's true, but in TFT, Guardians are Leona, Braum, Pantheon. I don't see any of those.
Right,
I will
yes.
say that.
Yeah, and I think both teams, they've also only picked up one glacial champ, so they don't seem to realize that you only get the glacial buff when you get two or more of those champions.
Yeah, and maybe they finished the draft for the Protecting Guardians with a Braum Pantheon. That way you get 2 glacial buff and you get the Guardian buff. That is giga busted. With the Draven too.
You can tell when your casters have run out of material when they start talking about TFT. Also, I've got a story for you, Nightstar, because I wanted to say this before, but we were running out of time, but now it's a perfect setting for it. So, a couple of days ago, I was casting. I was in another league, Yucky, SRG Best League. But the important thing is, I went into the lobby, right? And after a few seconds, I got kicked out because the players didn't know who I was. And I was very sad. It was an NA league, so... and now, this time, I'm joining in the lobby, and my own producer's writing in the lobby, "Who are you?" I was like, wow. So there's been Milky Cereal, there's been Tilted Cereal, but now I am officially Forgotten Cereal. We are
Wasted
back
Cereal.
Wasted Cereal, yes. Denied Cereal. Anyway, we're back into picks and bans. Okay, so let's do predictions, because predictions are always fun when you get them right or wrong. What can we expect to see coming through from the rest of the draft?
For the rest of the draft, I would love to see a Lissandra a pick from either side, right?
Yeah.
Because if you pick it for the side of the Avengers, you're going to have lockdown onto this Draven, and it forces him to either itemize into an early QSS or into a cleanse. So any sort of instant lockdown CC you can get over on the Avengers side, that is great. And
now,
to counteract that, I would say in this ban phase, you want to look for maybe a double ban onto carry top laners, just to minimize how many carry threats, because if they only have the Draven as the carry threat, it becomes incredibly easy to just zero him out.
Right, and I mean, we talked about the carry top laners. Could Volibear potentially fall in that category, or do you think that Volibear is going to be firmly in the jungle?
A Volibear as a carry, I will say, is only possible in the early iterations of TFT. No,
right.
he.
Oh my god! Oh, you play TFT, don't you?
As a champion on the Summoner's Rift, I will say he is not a great carry champion.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's fine. As soon as you build your static shiv on the Volibear, then it's all good, and a rapid fire cannon. You're all great.
Right.
I want to go to this bot lane, because we have both bot lane duos locked in. The Ashe Lulu, Draven Nautilus. Ashe is really strong right now. So is Draven, to be fair. But this is a lot of poke coming through from the side of the Avengers. And I want to see if that Volibear is not in the jungle. I want to see something early aggressive. I want to see something that can take advantage of Sejuani being a little bit weaker pre-6.
Yeah, and something like that might be Let's go through some jungle. Rek'Sai could be a possibility if you want something more up tempo. Elise is a possibility as well. It also adds that magic damage flare. Volibear might be what they're settling on, but if it's a Volibear, he can skirmish well against the Sejuani. But the ganks are, I would say, suboptimal, and it's an curiously enough, it is an Aatrox locked in.
Yep. 4 TF2 champions. Yeah, perfection. Now,
And we have the Kale Hover, which I love,
Yeah.
if they lock it in.
yeah, there you go. The second night buff is in Kel and Sejuani. And what I really like about the Sejuani, in all seriousness, is more of this late game safety net that you've got, especially when you're playing against something like an Ashe that isn't that strong late game. It's a big advantage with those patch changes that you talked about heading into game 1. 9.17 Kale, much more of a champion once she gets to level 6. And this Irelia, this team fight from the Protecting Guardians is going to be huge.
Yeah, the early teamfight potential of this squad is very high, with the Irelia, with the Kale, and the Sejuani. That is just a little bit of a disgusting lineup, and a Heimerdinger
Oh, yes.
is a perfect disengage pick for a solo laner, and I love that pick.
Is it Heimerdinger top or mid? And is it going to be Aatrox top or mid? Because I feel like those two could be flexed around. Looks like it will be Aatrox in the top lane to play against Netflix and Chill's Kale. And of course, Aatrox is a champion that can abuse that Kale a little bit in the early stages of the game. But as you mentioned, this Heimerdinger is going to be big at disengaging some of these fights.
Yeah, the Heimerdinger is going to be big in disengage. However, I will say that when it comes to engage, you have some of that potential with the Heimerdinger as well, right? With his alt grenade, but mostly you want to use it for disengage. The Ash Arrow would then be their sole sort of engage potential to allow the Volibear to get into to start the fights. Otherwise, the Volibear is again going to find a lot of difficulty. With the Lulu Whimsy, it helps a little bit, but yeah, I still struggle to see this Volibear pick succeeding.
I do have to agree with you. I'm not a massive fan of the Volibear. I kind of had my heart set on a Lee Sin. I thought Lee Sin would have been a really nice pick. It's quite solidly in the meta right now. And I thought it could have worked with what is starting to look like a bit of a catch potential from the side of the Avengers. Because if Ashe can land that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, that can be a really, really big pick.
Right, and it really comes down to how good is Guffy on these Ashe arrows, because if he's not, then you're looking at a very dire situation. But one avenue of attack for this Volibear pick, I would say, is going to have to be in that top lane against the Kale, because, you know, Kale isn't very strong early on. I mean, we have touched on it, but pre-6, definitely a gank target there. Sure, she has a little bit of that movement speed, but still, if you're a Volibear and you need to get snowballing, that has to be the avenue of attack.
I'm going to go back to the Protecting Guardians lineup, because you've got Kale. It's actually perfectly done from top to bottom. Kale, late game. Irelia, late-ish mid game. Draven, early game. They've got everything. What about on the side of the Avengers? Do they kind of have a cutoff point before they are like, Kale's too fed, it's GG, well played?
It really comes down to that 1 and 2 item power spike here. Aatrox, once he gets past 2 items, he pretty much operates the same way. He doesn't necessarily change the way you play against him or the way he plays against you. Heimerdinger also does get more impact if you add in something like the Rylai's, but again, the this composition, mostly when you hit that 2-item power spike, that's when it really explodes. However, you know, the Heimerdinger Ashe, if you compare them to the Irelia Draven, they do outscale in that matter. It's just a matter of, do they outscale the Kayle enough? And I think against how much engage power the side of the Guardians have, it's a very difficult ask.
Very interested to see how this goes. You know, I'm going to go back to the Guardians, picking more of those kind of Guardian champions. Play around the Draven early game, play around the Kayle late game. It feels fairly standard, and I think both you and myself, Nightstar, we have a massive preference for this composition.
Yeah, and it's just more solid overall, right? You have the front line, and then you also have the back line as well, right? Where you have the Kayle. If they dive onto the Draven, you throw down a Kayle ultimate, and you know you've wasted a lot of engage to try and kill the Draven, and now he's invulnerable. And then you also have the fact that you have so much CC packed into the dive champions, whereas you look at the CC provided by the dive champions on the other side, and you have a Volibear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
I mean, to be fair,
players.
with an Ashe, with a Heimerdinger, maybe this is more of a disengage comp than an engage comp. Another thing I want to bring up quickly, because I'm evil and I bring up multiple points at one time, is game 1. It was, let's be honest, a bit of a fiesta. It was crazy, full of kills, everything. I feel in this game, the composition from the Protecting Guardians forces them to play more sensible team fights. Don't get me wrong, I think those team fights are really good for them, but I think it'll make them more sensible, and when we do see these fights, it'll be much cleaner.
That is definitely a point to consider here. We have Stealth actually going for the Glacial Augment, which I think is a very intelligent choice. If you're
very annoying as well.
if you're committed to being disengaged, Glacial Augment is fantastic. Where you can really mess people up with that slow, and if you get an early Rylai's after your 2 items as well, so you get, of course, the GLP into the Twin Shadows. That is naturally the 2 items you get on Glacial Augment champions or AP champions. And then if you get a Rylai's on top of that, that allows your turrets themselves to just slow people down with their auto attacks, which makes it incredibly frustrating to even walk up to try and engage.
Both junglers going to start on their bot side club line, taking the blue buff, but I'm very interested in this bot lane to see how this Nautilus pairs into the Lulu. Was the engage versus the poke. I'm always on the engage side, but we'll have to see how it does develop. First Drake of the game is also going to be a Mountain Drake in 2.5 minutes. And, well, whoever can get bot priority will be massive, as the Dredge line almost lands onto Bolemisen, who will just about miss its mark.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you like engage supports. Does that mean that you're a support player, or are you the AD player?
No, I am a support player through and through.
Okay.
100%, yes.
All right, so you're a support player. Well, what champions you? I am an AD player.
Oh, are you? Okay, what champions do you think I'm in?
What champions do I think you play? I think you definitely play the Nautilus.
I play a little bit of Nautilus, but it is not my forte, so as to speak. As what was that? Flash from Netflix and chill. He might have just killed himself because Colorblind is here in the top lane. The knockup from the Darky Blade. Netflix and chill. You are playing a Darius this game, and you are dead.
And that's a first blood going over to a really sad kid, and you gotta imagine he's pretty happy about that one, as Netflix and Jill burns the flash but still gets pulled in by the chains. Either that or he flashed in the wrong direction. You know what?
after I've played on a team a couple of times, I've realized that players watch back the stream. So to Netflix and Chill who's watching this back later tonight, that was terrible.
Yeah, that's a soft
Oh, but here comes
way
the
of
engage
saying
in the
it.
mid lane. The Defiant Knives will come through, but look at the damage! Blade Surge flash away, and the flash in as Rotten this far picks up the kill.
Yeah, good, very good response, I would say. Being able to return fire onto that Heimerdinger, and that's one of the big things in a Heimerdinger lane, right? Against any. Ooh.
Oh, Dredgeline's going to be able to find his mark onto the Lulu. Out comes the W, but look at the poke onto Rotten this far. Trying to turn it around, but he's not going to be able to do it. Stealth picks up the kill.
All right. I'm gonna say he definitely should have backed there.
Yes. Ever so slightly greeting.
He definitely greeted a little bit there.
Oh, Netflix and Chill, you gotta have some chill, dude. The flip comes in, and Netflix and Chill will be dying once again. Really sad kid, just taking his time, playing with his food, and he will get his second kill of the game.
And a good start, I would say, for the vendors here. And hey, maybe that's part of their theme, right? Because they are the vendors. You have to lose in order to vend something, right?
Yeah.
So it plays to the theme.
And the Guardians have to have something to defend at the start. So it's all scripted. It's 100% scripted. And it's all making perfect sense now.
If you win the first game so hard, now all of a sudden you have nothing to protect. So naturally, it comes down to a game 2 win for the Avengers. But let's comment about the Heimerdinger pick, and that this Heimerdinger pick is still very fragile in that mid lane. If Irelia gets a few kills under her belt, it snowballs quite out of control from the Heimerdinger. However, because he was able to then punish, the Irelia staying a little bit too long, he's in a position where he can still successfully play out the lane.
And I want to talk about this Volibear pick once again, because I remember something that I was saying in the draft phase is I want an aggressive jungler, something that can punish this KL as the Dredgeline misses in the bot lane. The poke comes in, the CC, is it enough? In the top lane, Netflix and Chill, is he going to die? No, he will not. But the turn in the bot lane onto Chris, who's getting poked down. He's getting slowed, looking to turn it back around, has the Dredgeline available. He misses the Dredgeline. Out comes the volley, and Element should be able to survive, but two very close calls in both the top and the bot lane.
Oh, but there's more.
Here comes the Denmark, but look at the turrets. Vanguard's edge is in.
Oh
the CC, and Denmark takes the kill. Smites as well for some HP as the big ultimate turret almost takes down Rotten as far at the end of that.
Yeah, the smite wasn't really used for HP. They're mostly to take out that turret, because one more auto definitely would have gotten a finish there. And yeah, that's just the potential of the Heimerdinger, right? Where you're sitting on arm guards now, you have the defensive stats, and if you give your turrets the time, you can potentially just turn around 1v2 scenarios. But didn't happen, and we remorse. But however, for the side of the vendors, they were still able to punish this top lane kill, and actually, well, okay.
Oh, no,
I stand corrected. I'm looking at the CS differential, and it's let's just say it's a lot better than what it should be.
Yes. As Netflix and Chill will find the Infernal Chains, Really Sad Kids finds the Infernal Chains, it pulls Netflix and Chill in. Going to be able to find the kill as the Electron Storm Grenade will find the CC onto Rotten as far, but TSE Stealth happy to not engage and just poke down like the annoying Heimberdongers that he is.
And at this point here, Irelia...
Oh, he's going to go in, will find the Flawless Duet, the Electron Storm Grenade misses, and that was the ultimate empowered W, but Rotten as far blade surging away straight away.
And a tip for you Heimerdinger players at home: the alt W can be incredibly difficult to hit. And in most cases, you don't actually want to use the alt rockets. You just want to use the alt grenade. Alt grenade is best served in 90%
Oh, here
of
comes
cases.
Colorblind in the bot lane. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow flashed away by Element. And, well, good summoner burn from Element to keep himself alive. But now with no flash, your Colorblind will be looking towards this bot lane a little bit more than he was before.
Yeah, and a kill can definitely come through once Guffy's ultimate does come off of cooldown. And that's going to be the big threat in the bottom lane. And in the top lane, I am starting to get a little bit concerned because sure, they got the 2 kills, but the gold difference is really only just those 2 kills. There isn't that much of a difference.
And now that Denmark is post level 6, he has a lot more gank potential, and I'm expecting to see him turn up a lot more, most specifically in the bot side of the map, as out comes the depth charge. However, Volibear's here to prevent any further engage. He's going to charge on all 4s, gets hit by the E. Can he get the flip? No, he can't. It gets cancelled. Out comes the wild growth. Is enough. Chris gets taken down, but it's a 1-for-1 as the Glacial Prison finds his mark. Guffy gets taken down, and so will Bolum. Is it in the mid lane? Vanguard's edge coming through. Blade Surge forward. Is it enough? The stopwatch comes in. Rottenness far trying to Blade Surge to the turret. Flash forward. It's enough. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and close as you like in the mid lane.
And what a wild turn of events there. The mid lane battle is a pretty well played from Stealth, I would say. That's the maximum value you can get out of that Heimerdinger. And it just comes down to stalling as long as you can. And in that bot side, Colorblind's going a little bit far.
Yeah.
Really trying to get that kill there, but they didn't really have the cooldowns. And while you have the aftershock and it's going to give you those resistances, if you're playing it from a jungle perspective, you also want to consider maybe the Predator, just because besides having that big Ashe alt cooldown, it's very difficult for this Volibear to get into that backline to be effective, right?
I'm actually starting to notice that this Aurelia pick might be really good against a Heimerdinger, because she can just Blade Surge all the turrets down. However, the Flawless Duet comes in, they get the flip onto Rottenness far, but here comes a Denmark. Can they get the CC? Winter's Wrath, the passive will stack, and that will just be about it, as the Protecting Guardians will disengage for now.
They are able to disengage that, and that's definitely a win for, I would say, it's more of a win for the side of Avengers still, because you want to try and keep that mid lane as slow as possible. You want to be able to hit those stealth items onto the Heimerdinger as of right now, because he's had to itemize into the Seeker's Arm Guard and the Ninja Tabby. It's delayed.
Glacial Fisher misses his mark, and the turret will find the kill, make it the double kill as well. Surely, really sad kid. Meanwhile, in the top lane finds the kills, with 3 kills across the map for the Avengers, and things are starting to look good. Potentially focus to come through on the Rift Herald, but both lanes will just focus on getting turret plates for now. Element looking aggressive. Out comes the depth charge. Is it quite enough? Dredge line is available. The wild growth comes in. They find the hook. Is it enough? Yes, it is. Krista will flash away. Will be kept alive, but he will fall. Flash forward from Guffy. Element forced to back off, as there's a 1-for-1 trade in the bot lane.
One trade in the bot lane is still incredibly good for the side of Avengers, because look at what they find on the other side of the map. They found several plates up in the top side and several plates in the mid side, and that's going to help out these solo laners quite a bit here.
A really sad kid. Might be playing a bit too aggressive. Flashes. Oh my god, he almost turns it around. That was as nutty as a Renekton's Dominus.
And he's going to be able to get it back. He doesn't have the TP, but he's going to be more than happy to just walk back into the lane. Now that he has that completed Death Dance here, he's going to have quite a good time here. And we see a little bit of a change from our normal Worlds build here in Netflix and Chill, in the fact that he has gone for the Berserker Greaves, and I'd imagine if he's going Berserker Greaves, he might opt into the Blade of the Ruined King on top of it. But okay, all right, he has the Amplifying Tome, so it will be that Gunblade pickup there. So not that much of a change, but clearly he's looking to try and go for these auto attack trades against Aatrox. And with the Death Dance, I'm not sure if that's going to work out too well for him.
I mean, I've kind of learned after watching enough Kale's play that just don't talk about Kale build paths, because you have no idea what they're going to go. Like, one moment you think you know, then they're going to pick some weird item and you're like, I don't know anymore. But then again,
I mean, she does get value from a lot of things.
Yeah. Really sad kid. It gets poked down a little bit. Netflix and Chill almost level 11, so we'll have that second ultimate point in just a second to turn it around, as Bellamizzen going to be looking for the play in the bot lane, because look who's coming up. It's Colorblind, the polymorph surely available, but Denmark is here. Glacial Prism will be able to find the mark onto the Ash. The Wild Growth comes through. Element getting focused out. Out comes the on. Heals up. The axes are spinning. That is going to be the kill. The shutdown going over to Denmark. And now potentially the turret dive onto Bellamizzen. Nothing's going to come through. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Stealth looking for a potential way in. More specifically, Vanguard, Zed, Rotten Esfar looking for a way in, and that's going to be the ultimate empowered turret, as the first turret of the game will be going over to the Protecting Guardians.
Protecting Guardians making a very good call there, going into that bot lane with that counter gank set up here. And it really just comes down to Denmark. He's just way more effective jumping into that backline than DJ Colorblind. DJ Colorblind able to get back there, but you saw he was the one to die, and Denmark, well, he was full HP in that backline.
Every single time I see really sad kid, you know, just drop one Darken Blade, I'm just thinking, you're so dead, Netflix. So dead. I want to go back to something that we were talking about in the drafting phase, which was, I just thought I saw Netflix and Chill. Oh, never mind. What we were saying was, you know, top lane, late game, mid lane, mid game, bot lane, early game. And that's what we're seeing in the KDAs. You know, Netflix and Chill has been beaten up a little bit. It's kind of even in the mid lane, but in the bot lane, 2-0-3 on this Draven. And, you know, despite some of the plays being kind of questionable, I think everything has kind of fallen into place here for the side of Protecting Guardians. We'll have to be a bit careful. Oh, Element, are you getting caught out here? No, he's not. He's doing the catching out, and he will take down Bellamizzen. Just about. Out comes the Kale ultimate. Isn't enough. He needs to outplay his way from this. He's done it before, but not this time. The shutdown going over to really sad kid. Netflix and Chill will get taken down as well, and that is a double kill for the side of the Avengers.
And the Avengers strike back into that top side engage. The Lulu a little bit out of place there. Definitely does not win the 1v1 against Draven, but with the rest of the team there, they were able to cash in on the shutdown, and that's very important because it does go over onto Really Sad Kid. And Really Sad Kid is their huge mid-game carry here, and now what they should be looking for is just some sort of team fight, as Guffy is
Flawless Duet coming in, the blade surges forward, and surely this is going to be a kill. The heal comes out, Vanguard Z seals the deal, and we can talk about, you know, oh, Permafrost's going to be able to land. Arctic is a lot available for Denmark, but going back to what I was saying, you know, you've got the Fed Draven, but it gets countered by this Fed Aatrox. Meanwhile, you've got, well, Guffy's not exactly fed, but he's just going to get smacked by Rotten Esfar, who isn't fed himself. And it's that kind of standard thing of top laner will beat an ADC in a 1v1.
Yeah, and however, he is in those teamfight settings, he's still going to have the Heimerdinger for him to assist. And the Heimerdinger has hit that GLP breakpoint, so he's incredibly strong right now. And I do really believe that even though that there is a gold deficit, slight gold deficit for the side of the Avengers, that the Avengers, their composition is stronger at this point. They are stronger in that team fight scenario. They have their power spikes.
Their charge coming in. A lot of damage. The hook lands. And that's a kill going over onto Chris. Great play by the protecting Guardian, timing it to perfection. However, they might get caught out. The flash stretch line will land. More shutdown onto Element. And now can they turn it onto Really Sad Kid? The World Ender's coming through. Now looking to turn this around. He has Colorblind nearby. The poke, the kite. Is it enough? No, surely not. Pardon me, the Q will be able to seal the deal. And once again, the Aatrox takes down Element. But this time it's in the top lane.
And this is a 6-0-1 Aatrox. This Aatrox is pretty terrifying. But that top lane play definitely should not have happened with Guffy dying there. And Basil or Bale dying as well. Just because of the fact that, hey, you know your tower is going to go down. It's a Draven hitting it. There's no way it stays alive there. You just gotta walk away. But you gotta take your losses.
It kind of works out in the end with Really Sad Kid getting a double kill, 6-0 on this Aatrox. He's got the Black Cleaver as well.
1v2.
Stealth. It's a 1v1 because Rotten as far is too low. Netflix and Chill will burn the L. But the stopwatch comes in. Netflix and Chill forced to flash away. The flash. W can't find his mark. Electron Storm Grenade finds enough damage. Stealth picks up the kill. He can't find his second as it's a 1-for-1. But really well played by TSE Stealth there.
And Stealth, this is the power of the Heimerdinger, right?
Yep.
You throw down your ultimate turret there. Oh, okay, they're going for the Baron play. But you throw down an ultimate turret, and then you have the GLP to stop them from really getting on top of you. And
Redshine finds its mark. They're looking for the Lulu first. Permafrost is available. Out comes a whirling death. The Baron does the rest. Really Sad Kid getting focused. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will find his mark. The protecting guardians are needed for the Draven right now. They can't get the Permafrost on. They will take down Guffy for the double kill. Element, however, did fall in colorblind though. Might be getting chased out. It's going to be the Avengers who are going to be, well, it's going to be protecting Guardians who find the avengement onto their Draven. Avengement is even a word, I don't know. But it's a really good play from the protecting Guardians who stop the Baron play. And they pick up 4 kills for 1.
Yep. Not much to say about that one. They started out the Baron. They thought they could do it. They just didn't have the damage at this point in the game. And the rotations came in fast enough as well. If you have the Heimerdinger there, the Heimerdinger can definitely tank up the turret safely. And you won't lose out too much here. And Stealth, he could be in trouble.
Oh, Glacier Prison will be able to find his mark, but it will find the slow. Do they want to go in? The TP now being channeled from Really Sad Kid. Will it be enough? Can they find the focus? Down mark low, and the Darkened Blade. Guffy will pick up the kill with the Rangers focus. That is 1 kill, and it's on the jungler. Baron is up. Surely that's going to be the focus for the Avengers now. And is there any way for protecting Guardians to contest a second time round?
They don't have the Heimerdinger ult, and they don't have the Ashe ult, but Ashe ult is going to be coming up very quickly, so I do think that they're going to be looking for the play.
Oh, that's a big Electron Storm Grenade. Netflix and Chill taking a lot of damage. Sorry to cut you off there. Nightstar Guardians pushing in towards the Baron, down to 6,000 HP. The hook land, Wild Growth comes through, isn't enough. Vanguard Sedge, look at the Aurelia go. Really Sad Kid finds 1 kill, out comes a whirling death, and that's going to be another contestation in from protecting Guardians. Pardon me, but this time they will move to the Baron themselves. 3,000 HP, that's a good flawless duet. Can he go for the Blade Surge? He can if he can get close enough. Chris getting poked down. Baron down to 2,000 HP. The ult turret could be massive here. Chrissa so low. There comes a W. It's not enough. Now the turn. Glacial Prison finds his mark. Element finds the kill. Protecting Guardians are back in the game.
I don't have much to say about that. That sequence of events, I would say it was ill-advised. This is one way to
Yeah.
put it. You see the side of Avengers go for that Baron a second time. They know that there's no jungler on the side of Guardians available. However, death timer is at 22 minutes in the game, still very, very short. So Denmark was able to respawn, get back to the Baron. However, it had to be the fight for the Avengers. There was no other thing they could get from that. They don't do the Baron fast enough, and they ended up
Enchanted
just
Crystal Arrow is going to
tanking.
be able to find the mark. Will they let
Oh.
Crystal go down? Oh my god, the damage onto Colorblind is insane. Whirling Death, not quite enough damage. Focus onto Lulu. They find the kill. They find Guffy as well. Now turning it over onto the Heimerdinger. Stopwatch going to come through. It's a 5v3. Netflix and Chill finds the kill. Stealth gets taken down. It's 4 kills for nothing. And protecting Guardians, they will look for the base. They might look for the end. Can they find the engage? Yes, they can. Stopwatch will come through from really sad kid, but there is nowhere to go. The ace is secured by Element. The inhibitor turret is taken down. The inhibitor will fall. 7 seconds left for Guffy, but it is still 5 members strong for the side of the protecting Guardians. Rotten as far is in the top lane. The Nexus turrets are getting destroyed. It's 4 at the base. It's a 4v2. Colorblind is coming up, but it's not enough. The Nexus is getting taken down, and it's going to be the 2-0 clean sweep for the protecting Guardians.
And the Guardians they get buried, and then the game's over. That was a pretty clinical end. However, you know, some of the stuff in between was a little bit messy. But again, it comes down to Element was a juggernaut on the Draven pick in both games.
Yeah, that was a bit insane. I was going to say something along the lines of at some point in that game, this is kind of poetic, you know, you've had Element early game finding the damage. Then we got to the Baron of Fire, and Rotten as well was so huge with the Vanguard's Edge, found so much damage. And I was saying, well, even if this game gets longer, it's going to be the time for Netflix and Chill to rise up and carry his team forward. But I said in the draft, protecting Guardian, this is a Guardian composition around Element. There is so much protection in that Nautilus and Sejuani, and he was just able to dish out the damage.
Yeah, it was really just free reign for this Draven pick. He found the early kills to get the extra gold. And I mean, if we pull up the damage charts...
I was about to say, look at the damage.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage. He's got almost 28k damage there for his team, clearly outpacing everyone else on his team. And when everyone is so squishy, it's really just very easy for the Draven to just walk through and kill everyone. You saw how ineffective the Volibear pick ended up being. Wasn't able to get the Aftershock procs fast enough, and you just saw his health bar evaporate. And that's really just how the Volibear pick plays out. If you don't find enough ganks early on, snowball incredibly far ahead, he really just turns into a teddy bear.
Yeah, and to be fair, he did turn up a few times in the top lane. He got really sad kid going, but that's to be expected versus a Kale anyway. And something else I want to bring up, I'm not quite sure if you were able to catch it, Nightstar, but I would like to look at replays of those fights to actually see whether Bolomism was actually able to find any really big polymorphs in those fights to deny a lot of that damage from Element or from Rotten as far.
I mean, for the most part, the polymorph was actually not used. It was actually the Whimsy that was used onto the Volibear to just try and get him in to these fights, and because of that you lose such a large cooldown for your team, right? Because you have to use it as an engage tool rather than some sort of disengage and peel tool for your team. And I feel like that was just an opportunity that was really lost because of this Volibear pick as well.
Well, I'm not going to pretend, Nightstar, but as I said, you know, engage beats Enchanter. So, it proves the age-old question, just don't pick enchanters. It's not the meta for enchanters right now. You had your turn last year with all your ardent sensor meta. It's back to the good old beefy boys right now. However, quickly though, before we do start to wrap things up, Nightstar, MVP.
MVP. It has to be Element, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I was trying to make a case for Chrisner or Chriser, but the Nautilus game looked good, right? But the Nami game didn't feel like there were as many highlight moments, and maybe that's just because you're playing an Enchanter support there. But Element, you saw what he did in game 1 and in game 2, and he's a pretty. He gave the consistent performance, and they were both consistently high performances as well.
Very well played from Element. Netflix and Chill was insane in game 1. In game 2, there wasn't really too much that he could really do on the KL pick. He never got to level 16 to really show off what a late game KL can do. Really sad kid as well. Played very well in game 2, but wasn't able to do enough in game 1. Just a few quick shout outs actually to our sponsors. Actually, before we do go into that, regarding both teams, what would you like to see them do for the rest of the season? Kind of your expectations, if you like.
I like, so, not to bash the Volibear pick. What I do like about it is it shows a lot of champion diversity from the side of Avengers. They have a lot of various picks that they're going for. I just want to see a little more refinement, being able to utilize them to the maximum potential. And whereas for the Guardians, does Element get targeted out now with his 2 Draven performances on stream? Everyone's able to see it. They know that it's lethal. Now, what does Element turn to? What's his next level of play? Or does the Draven focus now become an enabler for the rest of your team to perform around the map?
Well, so any final words then, Nightstar, before we wrap things up?
I mean, I think we can transition to some of our sponsor shoutouts now.
So yeah, a massive thank you to our sponsors, Hungry, Stream Boss, Far Up Summerland, and Treecast Esports. We really appreciate the sponsorship, and we hope that you are happy with sponsoring us, doing all of this beautiful coverage. Going back to the game then, it was the Protecting Guardians who picked up the 2-0 against the Avengers. In the end, the Avengers couldn't avenge anything quite. Big shout out to Element as well for taking our MVP award. I think both Nightstar and myself are in complete agreement over that. But thank you guys, everyone, for watching. I believe we are back on Serenity Gaming tomorrow with another best of 3. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching. Stay tilt-proof on the Rift, folks. And we will see you tomorrow. Good night.